Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And whilst we have, of course, the whole election around us, we must not forget that other business is happening as well. And in particular, in Holyrood, it's been announced that Michael Matheson will be suspended. The suspension has been announced, and it is excessive. It is 27 days. And above that, 54 days loss of salary. I think that is fine. The 27 days means he really ought to consider resignation, and the 54 days loss of salary will of course help pay back some of that massive bill that he ran up and waste that he's helped contribute to after all those years, 25 years in Holyrood. He must go. If he doesn't go now, he will be obliterated when the Holyrood elections happen. If he goes now, he does it with dignity, and we just forget about him, and away he is. If he hangs on and hangs on and hangs on, he'll be seen increasingly like a nasty little parasite, like a tick sucking the blood from the nation. And that is all really he is. He's a liar, he's a fraudster, he's a man who throws his children under the bus. And I don't think 27 days will cut it. He needs to go. I am pleased at the 54 days loss of salary. Let's have a look to see what's going on. Here goes. So, shamed Michael Matheson suspended from Parliament for 27 days over the expenses scandal. The fraud, attempted fraud, the lies, the genuine impropriety, the fact he would not submit his iPad for inspection, because we know it isn't the football that he is telling us. Definitely not football. Kids were by the pool. The wife was at the pool watching the kids. He was in his little Moroccan room, curtains closed, iPad in left hand, watching, I suspect, and in my opinion, some pretty degenerate stuff as he was busy entertaining little Michael. The former Scottish Government Health Secretary was handed a hefty suspension after being found guilty of making an improper claim under the Scottish Parliament's expenses scheme. Improper claim is the politically nice way of saying thieving bastard, liar, fraudster, thief. The shamed former Scotland Government Health Secretary Michael Matheson has been suspended from Holyrood for almost a month over his iPad expenses scandal. Well, he can sit at home and watch the election unfold, can't he? The Scottish Parliament Standards Committee found him guilty of making an improper claim and failing to come clean to MSPs about how the bill was racked up. The MSP billed taxpayers for £11,000 for data roaming while he was on a family holiday to Morocco in December 2022. He repeatedly lied to the media and Holyrood that the bill was due to him doing constituency work and it was down to a faulty SIM card. No, that's not what he said. What he said was it was down to him doing constituency work on the wrong SIM card, not the one that he was supposed to do it on. Doesn't matter. It's still a big can of bollocks, isn't it? However, he later confessed that it was his children who used the hotspot to watch Scottish football. He shouldn't have been letting his children anywhere near that machine. So, if he's claiming that's true, then he's broken various laws, in fact, regarding data. But of course, that's not the truth. Football, it was certainly most not. It was, of course, knockout material. We're not talking boxing here. Talking about knocking one out. The decision of the suspension was confirmed on Thursday, with Mr. Matheson receiving a hefty ban from attending work, and with this the longest ever suspension in Scottish parliamentary history. He's been suspended from Holyrood for 27 sitting days, and he will lose his salary for 54 days. If this was Westminster, he would face a recall petition, but his constituents will not get a chance to axe him, despite him being the most awful, obnoxious piece of filth. The committee found that he failed to ensure the data on his iPad was not being used for non-work commitments and that he did not investigate it properly before applying for expenses. Oh, he didn't need to investigate it. He knew full well what he was watching on it. And he did not tell Parliament in November that his request was unsound. Their final report will be published after it is finalised, with Mr. Matheson complaining about the handling of the scandal by parliamentary authorities. Oh yes, how dare you do this? How dare you let people know? How dare people see what a dishonest, odious toad I am? And his wife will be sitting there now for the next 27 work days, so probably about 5 or 6 weeks, say 6 weeks, something like that. And every day he's sitting there, she'll be sitting there at him, looking at him, glaring like that. Because, I bet she's fair scunnered, because that man threw her kids under a bus to save his arse. And now he's sitting there in his underpants all day, eating quavers, watching the telly, not even earning. Tell you what, guarantee that'll end up in a divorce. Anyway, the final report will be published after it's finalised, with Mrs. Matheson complaining. As I say, Standards Committee convener Martin Whitfield said that the publication showed the standards expected of MSPs have not been met. Well, no shit, Sherlock. He said the unanimous view of the committee is that it is therefore appropriate to recommend sanctions for consideration by Parliament. 2 SNP voted against the 27-day suspension, but it passed due to Tory members Annie Wells and Oliver Mundell, or Mundell, don't know how you pronounce that, with the convener casting the deciding vote. The decision will now go before MSPs for approval. Mr. Matheson was found guilty of breaching 2 aspects of the MSP Code of Conduct: in failing to investigate before he submitted the expense, and for misuse of parliamentary resources. Now, here's the thing. It's got to go to a vote. It isn't confirmed until it goes to the vote. How many people on the on the SNP side will vote to protect him? In other words, they will be seen at the time of an election voting to save the skin of a man who has lied and attempted fraud and who's thrown his child under the bus. If they go to protect him, the optics are terrible, and they know it. And I also don't think that every SNP, MP, MSP will vote to protect him. I think there'll be 1 or 2 that will be voting the other way. I think certainly all the opposition parties will. Given the fallout with the Greens, I think they most certainly will. So I don't think he can be saved. But it's going to be damn close. Whitfield said there was also a failure to inform the SPCB during the period 9th of 16th of November, and he was aware that the assurance he had provided that the claim was made for the purpose permitted under the scheme was unsound. It was not in accordance with the scheme principles. Well, of course it wasn't. He's a lying thief. In mitigation, Matheson described the impact the scandal had on his family. Don't care. You should have thought about your family before you were throwing them under the bus. But no. Useful then, weren't they? But he's told his actions had an adverse impact on the reputation of the expenses scheme. There shouldn't be any. Let them go. Boom. The committee has concerns about the fact that non-parliamentary usage of the data was not drawn to the attention of the parliamentary authorities, including the presiding officer. More timeously, Mr. Matheson had chosen not to share with the Parliament his knowledge of non-parliamentary use prior to the 16th of November. And the committee notes that the Parliament could not have been expected to take into account matters of which they were not aware. Well, I don't care. You are a liar. You are a thief. Don't be sitting there coming to the going, oh, but look at my family. Won't somebody think of the children? As you're sitting there in Parliament throwing those self-same children under a bus to save your worthless, toadying, lying, useless, thieving arse. Quit, be a man about it, and leave. But I bet he doesn't, because that isn't a man, is it? That's a slimy little toad. Coming up. So there we go. If he had one single lone ounce of decency in him, he would resign. But of course, he's not that kind of person. He won't resign. He'll cling on and cling on until the very bitter end. He needs the money. He needs the pension. After all, what else has he got? When he leaves Parliament, he's never going to get another job. He's done nothing. He knows nothing. Who's going to hire him based on his dishonesty, his lies, his fraud, and the way he treats his kids? And so he has to make sure that he gets as much money as he can get together to pay for the rest of his miserable life. And it's wrong. They need to go. There needs to be a recall petition put in place, and he needs to go. Now, the trouble is, even if they bring in a recall act now, the thing with law is it doesn't go backwards, so he would then still be exempt from it, alas and unfortunately. Pressure must be made to bear on him, and he must really just resign. There's no other way of getting him out, unfortunately. It's the system you've got in Scotland. A system that suited the SNP very well. After all, if there was a recall petition, there'd be a lot of them gone, wouldn't there? Anyway, we'll stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.